another method of doing it. After you've completed or as part of the process of determining your training needs, you need to be able to identify or prioritize training needs. And there are three basic methods of prioritizing training needs that I plan to discuss. One is to look at the essential or the desirable. That is to focus on what is the skill, the competency, or whatever you believe is important for the employee to focus on with respect to accomplishing their job or enhancing organizational priority. When you begin to prioritize training in this process, what you obviously are focusing on is developing the essential competencies. In other words, what is the baseline in your organization or the targets with the individuals or the agency that you need to have with respect to getting people to do the basic, or what is essential for the work to be done in terms of reports, in terms of interviewing. You look at the job description and you define what is necessary. Another method used to prioritize training needs is to look at the importance competency matrix. High importance and low competence equals high training. High importance and high competence equals low training priority. Low importance and low competence is low priority. If it's not important, but you have high competence, then you have zero training needs with respect to this process. Okay? So you look at the competence of your staff and you look at where they are at in this process as you do your needs assessment, either through observation, either through questionnaires, either through consultation, and so on, or focus groups. The more sophisticated method of assessing performance and prioritizing training needs is to do the difficulty, importance, frequency analysis, the DIF analysis. Here, you would be looking at a system of tasks and activities or skills and competencies on a personal, individual perspective in terms of how frequently are these specific tasks done, how difficult they are, and how important they are. And as described in our readings, it's just a yes or no checklist as you do this task analysis with respect to what your staff are doing. So going back and quickly looking at what is being done, as you do your training needs assessment, whether you go through observations or questionnaires or combinations thereof, you may employ any of these three different kinds of methods that I have briefly discussed. When you're beginning to create training and development specifications, what you're doing is you're identifying what you want to train and what it is that you plan to develop in people. You're breaking down your training and learning requirements into manageable elements, and you're attaching standards or measures to these particular elements. So as you do this, focus on knowledge, skills, and behavior. How will you define the knowledge or the skills or the behavior that you're attempting to secure or obtain with respect to the training that you plan to do? Remember, when you're assessing or agreeing on training needs, you're conducting some sort of training needs analysis or prioritizing training. When you're creating training or development specifications, you're looking at what you want to train and what it is that you want to develop in your people. Is it knowledge? Is it skill? Or is it behavior or affective behavior? Put another way. As you prepare your training plan design, think of your training plan design as a guide and training as a process. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be cast in stone. You may tweak it. You may change it as you begin to work with it. As one of the readings point out regarding training designs, It's not the law. Gain a sense of these basic terms. What is a training goal? What are learning objectives? What are learning methods and activities? Documentation and evidence of learning, and what is evaluation? And briefly, when we look at training goals, we look at what is the overall results or the capabilities you hope to obtain. Is it in terms of knowledge? Is it in terms of skill? Or is it in terms of behavior? What are your learning objectives? What will you be able to do as a result of learning that you hope to secure or obtain from your staff? What kinds of behaviors will they exhibit, or skills, or problem solving, or decision making? Or is it skills and delegation, if you're doing supervisory training, as the examples of one of the readings that you have? What are the learning methods and activities? Will they complete a basic course? Will they do role plays? What kinds of techniques will you do? And fourthly, what type of documentation or evidence of learning will you have that they have learned? Will you give them a grade? Will you do some type of written evaluation? Will they demonstrate a skill? And then, lastly, how will you evaluate this particular training? And what method will it be? Who will evaluate it? So as you're determining your overall goals, review the information on goals. This is optional, as one of the readings points out. Do you need timelines with respect to your goals? Will there be a specified time outline with respect to when it needs to be done? How quickly must it be done? How will you know? And what will influence that timeline as you develop your goals and objectives? Ask the question, are you addressing performance gaps, growth gaps, or opportunities in terms of future growth with that individual or sets of individuals? And how do you plan to address these gaps in terms of their performance, either through interviewing individuals or making some kind of assessment? How will you get feedback from others with respect to your overall goals in terms of what needs to be done? Should you conduct a self-assessment? Should the individuals conduct an assessment of themselves in terms of where they should be as they buy in to these goals? And what kind of money do you need to fund for your plan as you begin to develop this training plan? And then you can put together your goals.